All right, now it's time for you to practice what you have learned so far. So once again, we're going to build a game. This game is a simulation for a car game. Now, our game doesn't have a graphical user interface or GUI, and it doesn't really matter for now. Our focus is entirely on building the engine for this game. So let's see how this program works. When we run this, we get this little symbol here, and our program is waiting for us to enter a command. If we type help, either in lowercase or uppercase, it doesn't matter. We get the list of commands that our program or our game currently supports. So we can type the start command to start our car. We can type the stop command to stop our car, and quit to terminate the game. Any other commands that we type, our program is going to tell us, hey, I don't understand that. For example, if I type ASD here, it says, I don't understand that. If we type start, we get this message, car started, ready to go. If we type stop, it says car stopped. And finally, if we type quit, our program terminates. This is a fantastic exercise for you to practice what you have learned. So pause the video and spend 5 to 10 minutes to build this program. All right, we're going to start with a while loop with a condition. What is our condition here? We want to run this loop until the user types quit. So we can define a variable for storing the command that the user enters, and then we can run this loop as long as the command does not equal to quit. So right before the loop, we define a variable command, and initially we set it to an empty string. An empty string is a string that has no characters in it. We only have the quotes, okay? So then we type out our condition as while command does not equal to quit, then do something. Now, immediately we have a problem here because we're assuming that the user types the command in lowercase. So if they type this in uppercase, our program is not going to behave properly. So to fix this problem, we need to call the lower method of the string object and then compare the result with this quit. We could also call upper and then type quit in uppercase. It's a matter of personal preference. In this demo, I'm going to use lowercase characters. So, okay. Now in this loop, we need to ask the user to enter a command. So once again, we're going to use our input function. We add a greater than symbol followed by a space. Whatever the user enters, we get it and store it in our command variable. Now, apart from the quit command, there are 3 other commands that we need to support: start, stop, and help. So here we need an if statement to compare what the user enters with one of the supported commands. So if command that lower equals start, then we want to print a message like the car started. So print car started, ready to go. It doesn't matter. Now the second condition. What if it's not start? Maybe it's stop. So elif command that lower equals stop. There you go. Then we print a different message, car stopped. Now look at our code. We have repeated this lower, lower, lower multiple times. This is bad. In programming, we have a term called dry, which is short for don't repeat yourself. So whenever you have duplicate in your code, that means you're doing something wrong. So how can we solve this problem? Well, instead of calling the lower method in each condition, we can call it right here when we get the input from the user. So this input function, as you know, returns a string. We can immediately call the lower method on that string. And with this, our command will always be in lowercase. So we don't need to call this method in every condition. Look, we remove the duplication, and also our conditions are shorter and easier to read. There's also one more place we need to modify, so it's right here. That is better. Now the third command. We need one more elif. If the command equals help, then we want to show the commands that we support. So here we're going to print a multi-line string. So we use triple quotes like this and give the user a guideline like this. So start to start the car, stop to stop the car, and quit to quit. Now finally, we need an else part So if what the user enters is none of these commands, we're going to tell them, hey, we don't understand this. So else colon print, sorry, I don't understand that. And by the way, note that here, because I'm using double quotes, I can easily use a single quote as an apostrophe. Okay, so let's run our program up to this point and see what happens. All right, let's type start, car started, beautiful, stop, car stopped, help. We get this guideline, but there's so much indentation before our commands. We'll fix that in a second. And finally, let's test the quit command. Oops, our program didn't work properly. Here's the reason. With these if statements, we're comparing the command with start, stop, and help. Anything else will end up here. So that's why our program says it doesn't understand that. So that's why our program says it doesn't understand that command. However, after this else statement, the control will be moved to the beginning of the loop. At this point, our command is quit. So our loop will complete and the program terminates. In other words, when we run this program and type quit, our program actually quits, but we still see this message, which shouldn't appear here. How can we solve this problem? Well, we can come back here and just before the else block, add another elif, something like this. Elif command equals quit. Then we can immediately break. This will solve our problem, but note that we have kind of repeated this expression in two places. The reality is we don't really need this condition on the top because with these if statements, well, more accurately, with this elif, we can jump out of this loop and terminate our program. So we can simplify our condition to something like this. True. So while true means this block of code is going to get executed repeatedly until we explicitly break out of it. Okay. Now let's test our program one more time. So quit. Now our program terminates and we don't see that message. Beautiful. So let's fix the last problem. You saw that when we typed help, these guidelines appeared with so much indentation. And here's the reason. Look, right here in our code, they're already indented. So when we use triple quotes, what we type here will be printed exactly as is. So because we have indentation here, this indentation will also be printed on the terminal. So let's delete these. Okay, run the program one more time. Type help. The indentation is gone. Beautiful. Now here's a challenge for you. I want you to take this program to the next level. So right now, if we type start, we get this message, car started. And if we type start again, we get the same message. It would be better if we got a message like car is already started. So it doesn't make sense to start a car twice. Similarly, if we type stop, it says car stopped. If we type it again, we get the exact same message. It doesn't make sense to stop a car twice. So here's what I need you to do. If the car is stopped and the user tries to stop it again, the program should say, hey, the car is already stopped. What are you doing? And similarly, if the car is already started and the user tries to start it again, the program should yell at the user. So go ahead and make the necessary changes to implement this scenario. All right, to add this to our program, we need to know if the car is started or not. So there is one more piece of information that we need to store in the memory. What is the kind of data we need to store here? A Boolean. Is the car started or not? It's a matter of yes or no, true or false. So on the top, here we can define another variable like started, and initially we set it to false. So the car is not started, right? Now, when the user types the start command, here we need to check to see if the car is already started. If not, we'll start it, otherwise we'll yell at the user. So in this block, we write another if statement. If it's already started, then we print car is already started. Otherwise, so we add an else statement here. And at this point, we set started to true. So we start the car and print this message. Okay. Now we need to make a similar change for the stop command. So if the car is already stopped, we need to print a different message. If not started. So here we're using the not operator to see if the car is stopped. So if it's not started, that means it's stopped, okay? So if it's stopped, we print car is already stopped with double P's. Otherwise, so else, we need to stop the car. How do we do that? We set started to false. And then we'll print this message. As easy as that. Let's go ahead and run our program. So initially our car is stopped. So I'm going to type stop. It says the car is already stopped. So let's start it. Okay, now our car is started. Let's start it one more time. The program is yelling at us. So we cannot start the car twice. Beautiful. Now let's stop it. It says the car is stopped. Let's stop it one more time. We get this message again.